Hey guys, so I am back with another coffee break. I am Teresa Nula and this is obviously my channel. And today I wanted to do something a little bit different that I haven't done before on this channel. I've kind of done it in live streams a lot, like giving kind of like my feedback, what I like, recommendations, and whatnot, but unless you're gonna sit through an hour-long live stream, you wouldn't know unless you were there. So I thought I would just take a moment, and today I specifically want to talk about podcasts because that's kind of my obsession at the moment. If you are any of my friends, then you definitely know it and you probably find it extremely annoying. So if you want to click off this video, it is going to be only about my podcast recommendations, but I promise you I have a few really interesting ones in here, a really diverse array of podcasts, so there might be one that that you would be interested in. So let's just get into it because I don't have all day. So the first one is Joe Rogan, and if you know me, you know I am obsessed with Joe Rogan. I have been listening to him a little bit less lately, but that is of no fault to him. I've just kind of been trying to expand my horizons and listen to all different types of podcasts, but Joe Rogan is awesome because he has a podcast where it is interview style, but he has all different types of experts in all different fields come in and speak with him, and he discusses political topics, health topics. He's into hunting, so he talks about that if you're into that. He has athletes come on. He has a lot of comedians come on because he is a comedian. So those ones are always good. He has actors come on, musicians come on, all different people, and he just kind of talks to them about their specific industry and also just maybe their upbringing, whatever makes them interesting. He's a really good interviewer and they are always phenomenal. And you can kind of, with Joe Rogan, he has so many episodes because he's been doing it so long and he puts out so much frequent content that just pick and choose the experts that you think you would find interesting, but also open your mind up to some things that you are unsure of, because a lot of people that I didn't think that I would like to listen to on Joe Rogan, I walked away being really fascinated by. Then the next one is my absolute favorite at the moment. This is the one that I literally am listening to every single day as much as I can. I'm going through the archives, trying to listen to every episode that they've ever made, and that's the Armchair Expert with Dax Shepard. And the reason that I love this podcast is, again, it's interview style, so there's always different people coming on, and Dax is a great interviewer. He's always relating like what's going on in the person he's interviewing's life to his own, and really being honest and open about what he's been through. And then he has a great co-host in Monica who produces the show, and they kind of have like a little segment at the end of the show where they go back through and they critique everything that they talked about during the show, and Monica kind of disproves anything that Dax may have thought was factual, if he got it wrong or whatnot. She just kind of double checks him. It's called a fact check, and that's literally what they do, but it's really interesting. And they also have another little segment right now. It's like a mini series within Armchair Expert where Monica is doing dating challenges and speaking to specialists about her dating life and trying to grow in that aspect of her life. And she's doing it alongside a friend of theirs called Jess, and it's called Monica and Jess Love Boys, and I highly recommend that. It's super good, and they have really, really good people that they have come in and kind of the people that they bring in kind of like interview Monica and Jess and challenge Monica and Jess, so it's almost reverse of interview style because they're getting the advice from the people that they're bringing in. And the third podcast is completely different from those two. But just give me a minute because I actually put something in the oven and I'm afraid it might burn. So just give me one sec. Okay, this is an extra special coffee break because I have cake, but not any cake, mug cake. So I'm super excited, and it didn't burn. Actually, the outside looked kind of burny and it was smelling burny, but this is like liquidy as heck. So we're gonna give that a minute. Okay, so anyways, nothing. What am I saying? Okay, so the third podcast, how many fingers? 3. Okay. The third podcast is called Girl and Her Mother-in-Law. And this is a completely different type of podcast. This podcast is just 2 people hanging out, talking, and they are actually reading questions that and like giving advice to people via email. So Alexis, is her name Alexis? Alyssa, sorry. The Girl and Her Mother-in-Law, her name is Alyssa, and she is a YouTuber. And so she has a following already. So they send her via email questions about dating advice, relationship questions, sex questions, all different types of stuff. And they kind of like tell them like scenarios that are happening in their life and then ask for advice on it. And it is very interesting, especially because the dynamic is really good. Alyssa and her mother-in-law, I'm blanking on their names right now, I'm so sorry. But they are really, really close. And I think they live together at the moment. I could be wrong, but it sounds like that. So they are very, very close, and they have good banter, and they're very funny. But then also their age difference and their different experiences in life give them a very good dynamic in the show, because they don't always agree on advice, which is good because then you can see different types of feedback. The fourth one is Amy Landino's show, and she is also a YouTuber who makes videos on she makes videos on making content online, being a girl boss, being an entrepreneur, and just being better at life. Like, she gives advice on doing a calendar, how to wake up early, like just really good habits. She's really good at giving advice on just doing better at life, pretty much. So that's kind of what her show is also about. It's called Detail Therapy, and it is her doing interviews with professionals, kind of in the entrepreneurial space mainly, but on like how they got to where they've gotten to. I can't really speak today, I don't know. But yeah, she gives advice on, you know, how they found success, and then also asks them questions about like their routine and just basically the details. Like, tell us how you are able to like accomplish so much, and like what are your little tricks and tips. And she's a very good interviewer as well. And if you're into this space, like you're a female entrepreneur or you're hoping to become one, I highly recommend her, because her podcast and her YouTube channel are just super positive, great sources of knowledge, and it just keeps you really focused because you're constantly looking at content where she's, you know, kind of living the life that you wish you were. Because I'm the type of person, you know, like I want to wake up early, but I tend to sleep in when I have the opportunity to. I want to have a morning routine, but I struggle to find that consistency. So looking to someone that is so good at it and filling my mind with, you know, her thought process is a super good way to stay motivated and stay on track. So I highly, highly recommend her. And then the fifth one is, again, a completely different direction of all of the ones that I just said. And this is for people that are super into film or television, or want to get into writing in any respect, or being in the industry at all. It is called Dead Pilot Society, and that's kind of a play on words because it is about dead pilots. But we're not talking about the ones in aviation. We are talking about pilot season. So the pilots that people write and they get bought, so now they you know, are off the market and they can't get made anymore except for the people that made or bought them, but then they don't get used. So they've been bought, but they haven't been turned into a pilot. They take the best ones on this show and then they do a read through of that pilot. And it's super interesting. Like, some of the pilots that they do kind of remind you of other shows that did come out. Some of them are completely outlandish, different type of story that you wouldn't expect. But they're all different. And again, like, all of the episodes don't relate because every episode is a different pilot. So yeah, it's just a completely different type of podcast. The sixth one is Afford Anything with Paula Pant. And she's awesome because she can give you so much amazing information about how to save money and how to make money. So she is someone that lives extremely cheaply, way under her income level, just so that she can save as much as possible. And then she takes the money she saves and she invests a huge chunk of it, a huge amount in real estate. That's her main thing, but I'm sure she invests it in all different places. And she brings on people to interview that are also amazing savers or great at investments, and they just expand your knowledge on all these different money-making tactics. But she's one of those people that is teaching you how to make money work for you rather than having to work for the money. And so it's a great source of knowledge. It's not the funnest podcast in the world, but it's also very what's the word? It's still captivating, even though it's about a topic that I wouldn't normally find the most interesting. I find myself gravitating to her all the time because it is a great way to expand my knowledge and just also stay in that mindset of, okay, like, maybe I don't need that because I can use that $5 towards something else. And yeah, so it's just one of those things that, again, it just keeps you focused on the end goal, which is saving and making money. So those are my 6 podcast recommendations. I tried to keep it a bit diverse for people that, you know, might not like a certain type of topic. This is all over the map here. I'm sure there's something that you could find interest in, unless you're just into like crime podcasts or something, because I'm sorry, I don't listen to those, so I'm not sure which one is really good. Oh, this is just a bonus one that I just thought of right now, but number 7 is, I don't remember who did it, but there is a podcast. It's a 6-part series. I think a television network might have put it out. I'm not 100%, but it is the 6-part series on Theranos, and it is fascinating. Theranos is a tech startup that crumbled when they found out that it was kind of all a sham all along, and it lasted for like 10 years. And the CEO founder, she is currently on trial because she kind of misled all of the investors on this technology and was also selling this technology, claiming that it was working when it wasn't. And she even had giant deals in place where customers were actually, you know, thought that they were getting this technology. Like it was a way of testing your blood, and they actually thought that they were getting their blood tested with Theranos, and they weren't, because the technology was never really there. And a lot of people were getting like misdiagnosed and all of these things, and it's just fascinating. I'm not telling it well right now, but I promise you it is fascinating, and there's a 6-part series on it. I don't remember who did it, but I would definitely recommend it. They also, I think, have a documentary on it on Netflix, but I was recommended that the podcast series is actually better than the documentary on Netflix. And so I listened to that, and I absolutely loved it. I burned through it in like 2 days. So those are my podcast recommendations. Thank you for sitting down and having coffee with me. I feel like I talked a lot more than I was able to drink any of this coffee. Hopefully it's not cold. No, it's still good. But I will see you again tomorrow, and I hope that helped.